Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Jasmine. This is my first official YouTube channel video. So I hope you enjoy it. If you do, like, share, subscribe to the channel, be a part of the glow up. And so I figured I'd do my first video starting out with a story time. And this story time is going to be when my boyfriend cheated on me and then wanted to get me beat up. Facts. So I'll start it off for about, what year was this? 2009? 2010? 2010. I was in ninth grade. Yeah. I suck at math. And I was friends with a dude. We're just gonna call him Sean. Friends with a dude named Sean. So we were best friends. We talked every day. We texted every day. He was my friend, like, you know. So during the summer, we got a little bit closer, and I admitted to him that I liked him. Very scary for me to do that. And I was like, you know what, just do it. So I told him I liked him. And he was like, I like you too, I love you too, oh my god, I've been feeling the same way as you. Because I was telling him, oh, I love you, I feel some type of way about you, and I feel like we have this great connection. I've never felt like this about anybody. And he was like, yeah, I feel the same way, you know, just soaking it all in. So I'm like, great, so we're together. He was like, yep, you're my girlfriend. And I was like, great. And this is during the summer. This is like the end of July, after ninth grade year. Camera cut off. After ninth grade year. So in July, this is the summer, we got together during the summer. And yeah, so 10th grade year starts, and we're like, oh, we finally get to see each other, because I was a sheltered teenager, so I could go nowhere. So we hadn't seen each other since we decided that we were together. So 10th grade year starts, everything's great. And my friends know, they were like, oh, you go out with Sean. We're gonna call you go out with Sean. I was like, yeah, I do. That's my boyfriend. And they were like, oh, we're so happy for you. So we together, whatever, we go out. And everything's good for a good month. Like, there's no problems. I'm extra happy because I was such a gullible little girl teenager, so everything's just great in my eyes. But then after a while, he starts to act like different. Like, he doesn't want to hold my hand, he doesn't want to, you know, act like I'm his girlfriend. So, but me being a gullible teenager, I didn't think of it. I didn't think anything of it. So I'm in class, and I'm like just sitting in class, and I overhear a conversation. I overhear this girl that sits like right there next to me. We're gonna call her Kyra. She's sitting right there next to me, and she's talking to her friends about this dude she just met. I mean, she just got with. And she's like, oh, he's my boyfriend now. He's so cute. His name is Sean. And I'm like, what Sean? So I'm like listening to her talk about Sean. And I'm like, okay, if she says his last name, yeah, then that's the one. So I keep listening to her talk, and sure enough, she says his last name, and it's my Sean. And I'm like, oh, fuck, great. So, like, I have to talk to her. Like, I just heard it. So class ends, and I'm like, I go up to I go up to her and I'm like, hey, Kyra, so you go out with Sean blank? And she's like, yeah, that's my boyfriend. Like, we got together like a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, well, me too. She was like, what? I was like, yeah, we go out. And she was like, oh, well, he told me he was single, blah, blah, blah. I was like, nah, he ain't single. So she was like, oh, and then I was like, so how long you said y'all was going out? She was like, we've been going out for a couple weeks. I was like, oh, we've been going out for 2 months. She was like, like her jaw dropped. Like she was so shocked. And I was like, yeah. So we're like, we have to confront him. Like we can't like ignore this. So she was like, yeah. And side note, the way our school was set up, there was 2 ways you could go to your bus. It was either down the hall towards the back of the school, or you could go up to the front. It really depended on where your bus was at. My bus was usually in the back, so I would always go down the back. But his bus would pick him up at the front. So I would go to the front to see him, and then I would go to the back to catch my bus. So we both was like, okay, we're gonna go to the front of the bus, and so when he comes out of the door, he'll see us. So we both go up there, and we're like, talk to each other. We're like, oh, he told me this. He said I was this, and I was like, oh, well, he told me this, and yeah. So we're just like, he's a basically. So he finally, after like what seems like a long time, comes out of the front, and he sees us standing together, like looking at him, like, and he sees us both, looks me straight in the eye, and takes off running the opposite direction. So I'm just like looking like, did he really just run? And she like, where is he going? Like she goes up to the door, like goes back in the school, and is like looking at him like, where are you going? And he was like, oh wait, hold on, I gotta. Oh, so I'm just standing there like, oh my god, bro. He really like just took off running from us. And so she comes back to me, she was like, oh my god, I can't believe he just ran. I was like, yeah. But it was stupid because he ran like down the opposite direction of where my bus usually was. He ran down that way, so he had to come back out the back towards the front to go to his bus. So that means Kyra had to go. So I was going to my bus, so I had to go down the opposite direction, and he had to pass me to go to his bus, because at this point the buses are leaving. So to go to his bus, he had to pass me, and I'm just like, hey, what? And he goes right past me and gets on his bus, and I'm just like, what just happened? Okay, so I get on my bus, and at this point I'm actually, like I said, I was a very emotional teenager. So I'm in my feelings, and I get on Facebook and I put these exact words as my status: I hate pussy ass niggas. Yeah, he saw that, obviously, because we're friends on Facebook. He saw that, and I'm like, yeah, this is gonna hurt his feelings, because obviously he hurt my feelings. So I'm like, a status is nothing. So he sees it, and he's like, oh, I can't believe you would call me that. And I'm like, yeah, because that's exactly what you did. You took off running. He was like, no, it wasn't like that. A teacher was calling me, so I had to go, and then my bus was leaving, so I had to hurry up and catch my bus. And I was like, bro, you could have said something at this point, because you know why we were both standing there looking at you with a death stare. So he was just like, oh, well, it wasn't like that. You didn't have to call me that. Why would you say that about me? And at this point, I'm just like, I don't care if I hate you, whatever. So I stopped talking to him that night. Okay. Fast forward like 2 days later, I'm like, because at this point I took him off of my Facebook. I'm like, I hate you, I don't like you. But, you know, being the dumb teenager that I am, I'm still looking on his page though. Because I want to see if he says anything else about me. Sure enough, he did, definitely. And I see on his status he put something about, I forget the exact words of the status, but I knew it was about me because he said my name. He was just, it was something along the lines of, I can't believe Jasmine would say this about me, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, well. And so I see under the comments, one of his little groupies, I call them groupies because they were definitely groupie material. One of his groupies was like, oh, who is Jasmine? I'm about to talk to her, and we're just gonna call her Sarah. We're gonna call her Sarah, whatever. And okay, so Sarah was freaking, she was known for fighting. So I was like, oh, dang it. So Sarah was like, oh, who is that? Point her out to me. And Sean was like, yeah, I'm gonna point her out to you tomorrow. And I was like, oh, dang. So the next day, I'm kind of like waiting for something to happen. Because like I read his Facebook, I know something's going to happen because, like I said, Sarah's known for fighting. And she's not a small person. She's a big girl. So I'm like expecting something to happen. Nothing happens. I didn't even see Sean, actually. I wasn't looking for him, so I didn't see him. So, but I know, like, I can feel something's going to happen. I was like, oh man, she's gonna try to beat me up because, you know, groupies do anything for they boo or whatever. So I told my sister, and I was like, well, I might get beat up. And she was like, what? By who? So I told her the situation. She was like, oh my god, no, he not about to do nothing to you. I got your back. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna get beat up together. So I'm trying to tell my other friend, I'm like, hey, do you got my back? You know, Sarah tries to beat me up. She was like, why would they try to beat you up? Because, you know, everybody in our circle knows me. Like, I'm not confrontational. So they're like, oh, we got your back, girl. It's all right. If they try to swing on you, we got you. And I'm like, yeah, we'll all get beat up together. But anyway, it was like the next day, like I said, I'm since nothing happened the day before, I'm not really worried about it. Like, I'm expecting it, but I'm not worried about it. You know what I mean? So I was standing there with my sister. It was at the end of the day. I had gone all day without anybody saying anything to me, and there was nothing. So I had gone, yeah, we had gone all day, and then I was, at the end of the day, I was waiting on my bus to come with my sister, and where we were standing, it was a fence behind us. So we were like sitting up against the fence, like talking, waiting on the bus or whatever. So we're sitting there, and then sure enough, here comes Sarah and her little group walking towards us. And I'm like, oh, dang. And my sister's like, girl, I got your back. And in my head, I'm like, thanks, Mel, but we're getting beat up together. So she comes up towards us, her and like 3-4 other girls. She comes up towards us, and we're like, and I'm just like standing there like waiting on it. And she's like, So I heard you had a problem with my brother. And I'm like, play dumb. I was like, who's your brother? And she was like, Sean. And I was like, no. And she was like, well, I heard he told me that you had a problem and you wanted to fight. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I fight you if I had a problem with him? So yeah, she was like, well, I heard that you had a problem. And I was like, no, I have a problem with him, but I don't know you, so I don't have a problem with you. And she was like, well, okay, I was just making sure, like, I'm not exaggerating, like, this is exactly what she was doing. Like, looking at me like, you ain't gonna do nothing, I know you scared. But the problem was, I wasn't scared of her. I was scared of the situation. Like, waiting on your bus, there was a lot of people that rode the bus. So it was a lot of people standing there waiting on their bus. Like, the school I went to, Forest Park, the school I went to, there was a lot of people there. So everyone would see that I got beat up. And this was like the time where World Star was like really popular. And I was like, I told my sister, I was like, Mel, I don't want to be on World Star. So I'm like, no, I don't have a problem with you. Only because I don't want to get beat up in front of all these people. So she was like, okay, well, I was just making sure. And then like walks off. And the 3 girls she was with were like really short. Like, I wasn't scared of them at all. I was scared of Sarah because Sarah was a huge girl. Like I said, she could fight. So yeah, I was afraid of her. I didn't want to get beat up. But yeah. So she walks away, and then the girl she was with looks at me all up and down like, And I'm just like, I look at her up and down right back because, like I said, I wasn't scared of you. Anyway, so yeah, so she walks away, and then my sister's like, well, that was stupid. I was like, yeah, that was dumb and unnecessary. So we get on our bus, and I go home, and I look on Facebook because I'm like, I know they talked about what just happened. I know they did. Sure enough, they did. And I look on his Facebook, and they're like, oh, we got her. She was scared. I know she was scared. And he was like, yeah, thanks. You know, all this other stuff. And I'm just like, like, I mean, I had to take that L because I didn't want to get beat up. It's funny thinking about it now, but at the time it was just like, oh my God, can't go to school ever again. Anyway, so yeah, that's that story. Oh, and afterwards, like, I didn't talk to him for like 2 months after that. I was like, I hate this dude. He's such a douche. And he, one day, randomly, like, I'm waiting on the bus with my sister, and he calls me over, and he's like, come here. And of course, my ditzy teenage self was like, okay. So I walked over there, and he was like, oh, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I told them not to fight you. I just wanted to scare you. And this whole time, I'm just, like, not looking at him. I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he was like, can I have a hug? And I gave him an extra dry hug because I was like, I hurt your feelings. No, none of it. But, and yeah, we didn't talk like that anymore. So yeah, that was that story. If I have a lot of other interesting stories, if you'd like to hear them, subscribe, like, thanks. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.